Okay, test. You okay? Yeah. Okay. I got 7 o'clock. Wait, yeah, your call. Your call. Is that one of your neighbors sitting out there? Oh, the lady. Oh, okay. She's the what? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I didn't recognize the name. Oh, small. Oh, wow. That's kind of neat. Oh, that's Ryan from Dispatch Center. Yep. I know him. If people leaving already.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Cicero Jackson Township Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for November 20th, 2025. We'll start with a roll call of members. My name is Scott Bukowski. Mike Berry.
Present.
Harrison Masani.
President.
Let the record show that Mark Thomas is absent this evening. Steve Zell.
Here.
Aaron Culp, our legal counsel.
Present.
And our planning director, Mr. Frank Zawatsky.
Present.
And recording tonight for us is Terry Strong. With the amount of members present, I can declare that we have a quorum. However, for the petitioners, what has to happen is we have to have 3 votes for or against in order for something to pass. And with a full board, it's easier to get the full 3 votes. With one person absent, it can be a little bit tougher. So each of the petitioners tonight has the ability to request that their items be heard at a meeting where we do have a full quorum, and that's up to the petitioners. We'll move on to approval of the minutes for tonight. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes from last month, and does anyone have any changes to be made?
Chairman, Steve Zell, make a motion that we approve the minutes from October 23 as submitted.
Thank you, Mr. Zell.
Mr. Chairman, this is Mike Berry. I second that.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. All in favor of approving the minutes from our last meeting, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, those meetings are approved. We'll move on to old business. And tonight for old business, we have 5 items on the docket to read in. We will discuss all 5 of these items at the same time. However, we will vote on each item separately this evening. So I will go ahead and read these in to the meeting, and we'll go from there. The first item is docket number BZA-1025-47-C1. These are all State of Indiana Armory Board. The address for all 5 of these is the same, 2600 East 276th Street in Atlanta, Indiana 46031. The first one is a development standards variance application that's been submitted for the property located at 2600 East 276th Street in Atlanta, Indiana, seeking relief from Article 10.7, Commercial Sign Standards of the Cicero Jackson Township zoning ordinance to exceed the number of signs allowed per facade. Whereas Article 10.7 states that 2 signs are allowed per facade. The next one is BZA-1025-48-C1. Same petitioner, same address. This is a development standards variance application has been filed for the property located at 2600 East 276th Street in Atlanta, Indiana, seeking relief from Article 10.7 Commercial Sign Standards of the Cicero Jackson Township zoning ordinance to exceed the maximum cumulative area allowed for single tenant structures. Whereas Article 10.7 states that the maximum cumulative area allowed shall be 200 square feet. The next one is BZA-1025-49-C1. Same petitioner, same address. A development standards variance application has been submitted seeking relief from Article 10.7 Commercial Sign Standards of the Cicero Jackson Township zoning ordinance to exceed the maximum height of sign area and be located more than 20 feet above ground level, whereas Article 10.7 states that the maximum height of sign area shall be 6 feet and may not be located more than 20 feet above ground level. The next item is docket number BZA-1025-50-C1. Same petitioner, same address. A development standards variance application has been filed for the property seeking relief from 10.7, Article 10.7, Commercial Sign Standards of Cicero Jackson Township zoning ordinance to exceed the maximum area of signs for a single tenant structure, whereas 10.7 article states that the maximum area of signs for a single tenant structure shall be a maximum of 90 square feet based on a measurement of 2 square feet per 1 linear foot of structure or tenant frontage on the front facade. And the last item for the same petitioner is docket number BZA-1025-51-C1 at the same address. A development standards variance application has been filed for the property seeking relief from Article 10.1 General Sign Standards of Cicero Jackson Township in the Town of Cicero ordinance to exceed the maximum area and height mounted of flags, whereas 10.1 states that a flag shall be a maximum of 40 square feet in area and shall not be mounted more than 35 feet in height. Is the petitioner present this evening?
Mr. President, we do need to untable this. This was tabled last meeting.
Thank you so much, Mr. Culp. I'll entertain motion.
Mr. Chairman, Steve Zell, I'll make a motion now that we untable the business involving the State of Indiana Armory Board 5 dockets that we will be hearing tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Zell.
Mr. Chairman, this is Mike Berry. I second that.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. All in favor of untabling these 5 items, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, these items are untabled. Thank you very much. If you wouldn't mind, just kind of let us know what you've got planned for each of these items and what the need is.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. My name is Crystal Kent from American Structure Point, here representing the Indiana National Guard. We also have Jason Brady from the National Guard as well, if you have any questions directly for the owner. Essentially, this building is set pretty far back from the road, which makes it very difficult to read the signs. We're about 200 feet back. And as a result, part of it in terms of the address numbers is a safety question. We want emergency vehicles, ambulances to be able to find the place. Although I think once it gets well established, people will know where it is. In the meantime, there are two other signs. You can kind of see them in that first image. One of them is the logo and the motto. Those signs are because the National Guard happens to be very proud. The people that work there have day jobs like the rest of us, but they give of their time and energy on the weekends. 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer. And they're just very into it. So this is a mark of pride for them to have these types of things on the building as they enter. The height issue, again, the wall-mounted signs that say Indiana National Guard and the address number, those are about 24 feet in the air, and that is just as a result of having to get them above the windows instead of 20 feet. The flags, the National Guard does not fly a flag smaller than 5 feet by 9.5 feet unless it's like on a car in a funeral procession. So unfortunately, the ordinances don't allow for their standard flag size. And that is why that one was necessary. The Indiana flag is flown at the ordinance allowed size. I think that's all of them. Am I missing anything?
All right, thank you so much for that. Board member comments, questions?
Did you cover the number of signs that that's one, that'll be the first item that we'll be reviewing tonight. So there's a rationale for the number of signs, as is outlined in the first docket here.
Thank you for that correction. The number of signs is 4 as opposed to 2. Ben, that is because the logo and the motto have been categorically described as signs. Therefore, they are putting us over the number.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no more questions or concerns from the board, at this time I can entertain a motion to open these items to the public.
Mr. Chairman, Steve Zell, I recommend that we now open our meeting to the public on these specific dockets.
Thank you, Mr. Zell.
Harrison Masania, second to that.
Thank you, Mr. Mastani. All in favor of opening up this portion of the meeting to these 5 items, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Public hearing is open. If anyone would like to speak to any or all of these items on the docket tonight, please step up to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Blair Fry. I live at 27810 North Anthony Road, essentially right around the corner from this building. I just have a question, maybe. They said there was 4 signs. Is the number of address, is that the 4th sign?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's not
Okay.
showing here, but it goes right here.
Sure. Is that is that the only sign that's not currently already on the building?
It's on the building, but it's
So-
not shown here.
My question, I guess, for the BZA is what are you approving tonight if these signs are already on the building?
If they don't receive a variance, they have to take them down.
Okay.
That's right.
I don't know that anybody's going to not know that this is already the National Guard building. I mean, it's pretty stands out. I mean, if you've driven past it, right? I mean, it's pretty well signed up. But I have no faith. I mean, I'm rise to be indifferent, I guess, on this motion. I just think it's kind of funny that the reason that we're given. I mean, it's obvious what this building is already. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public? All right.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we now close our meeting to the public on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Zell.
Mr. Chairman, Mike Berry, I second that.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. All in favor of closing this portion of the meeting to the public, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, this public hearing is closed for these 5 items. As far as board member comments go, I feel like this is pretty cut and dry.
I do too. Mr. Chairman, I think, point that young lady there made earlier, that given the, distance from the road, I think that's valid. Larger and higher signs are necessary, for visibility. This is a crown jewel property here. This is a beautiful property. I think that they made their case, in my opinion. This is not difficult. My point, just speaking for myself.
As far as stipulations to consider, I don't know of any.
I just have a question on like the total square feet. How much total square feet of signage is there now on the south side of this building? If you don't mind.
Yes, the 2 signs that you see in silver, the logo and the motto, those are 11 feet tall each, and then the citizen sign is 13 feet wide. So the area of those 2 alone kind of blows us out of our allowable area, given that it's limited to 200 total square feet.
What's the Indiana National Guard? What's that account?
That's a great
Do you know?
question. In your packet, there should have been some shop drawings from the sign manufacturer that may indicate some better dimensions. Yes, those are the ones Frank has them.
It should be in your packets, but it's on this sheet here.
I know that the letters are 30 inches tall, but what I don't remember is exactly how long that word
No,
became.
We don't have that.
You don't have this?
We have 3. I'm not seeing it. Okay, I'll pass mine and see if it- Give us a moment to pass these around, please. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question for the petitioner. Is there any lighting associated with these signs?
Yes, only the wall-mounted signs that are up high are lit. The ones that are down low are not lit.
Frank, I have a question for you that you might know off the top of your head. Isn't there, it's called like a directional sign or something defined for address numbers that gives a height that's based on distance from this road? I thought I read that and I can't find it right now.
In, sign standards,
Yeah, I'm just thinking for when we update
it's
this.
probably in the very front in general standards.
Oh, I didn't see it. So I was thinking maybe in definitions. But I mean, it makes sense for something sitting back that far for the fire department. They should know where they're going, but.
It has a
in
limit
case.
for the minimum and a maximum standard.
Yeah.
What information?
Meeting's been closed to the public. Okay, we closed the meeting.
Road safety. It's not that whole road. Is that different roads? Because the address is on that.
And this one that spoke to the road address. I was just thinking for when we update it, I mean, it makes sense theoretically if stuff goes out at 31 ever, if it's like set back, like the height of the address for a fire department, which is pretty typical
Oh, the height of the sign itself.
for just the address. I thought there was leniency within here based on the setback from the road. I'm just thinking for future along 31, because they're bigger properties in like a downtown or neighborhood commercial, that's probably something we should look at in the future.
The variance is for
Total.
the size of the letters themselves,
Yeah.
not the height of the sign itself. The Indiana National Guard, that's the one, they're both at the same height, but that's the one specifically we asked for the variance for. But I think you're correct there. There's an exemption for addresses.
Yeah, I just don't know where it is. Okay. Well, I calculated like 392 roughly square feet. I don't know if that sounds right, but
There's also a monument sign out front, when that's the only one in the whole package that met the standards, so.
okay.
And it adds an additional, 84 square feet, if memory serves.
Yeah. We're discussing all of them at the same time together?
Yes.
I mean, I think with it being the National Guard, I mean, I think as far as the flag, obviously, I don't, absolutely no comment on that one. I think that's
Yeah.
brilliant. I think crew car washes probably struggle with similar variances throughout the entire state and country as well, so. I don't know what the road frontage linear feet is to be able to speak to that one, but it seems like that still is just a square footage total, and we already are talking about the square footage total in the item 48 on the docket, so it really comes down to, is it reasonable to add 192 square feet above this? I think the height above grade makes sense with how far away it is in the building like this. I mean, we're not used to seeing buildings of this capacity within our area. This is probably the first one that I've seen since I've been on the board.
All right, yeah. I'll entertain motions to approve.
Mr. Chairman, Steve Zell, I make a motion that we start with the first docket to approve BZA-1025-47-C1. Again, we're talking about the Indiana Armory Board for the state of Indiana at East 276th Street. Atlanta, this is to approve a development standards variance application that's been submitted on at 2600 East 276th Street in Atlanta, and they're seeking relief from our commercial sign standards, Article 10.7, to exceed the number of signs allowed per facade. Whereas the 10.7 states that 2 signs are allowed per facade. That's my motion.
Thank you, Mr. Zell.
Mr. Chairman, this is Mike Berry. I second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. We'll have a roll call vote. My name is Scott Bukowski. I approve. Mike Berry.
I approve.
Harrison Masani.
Approve.
Steve Zell.
Approved.
Okay. First one's passed.
Mr. Chairman, I'll start with the second one, I should say, that's on our list here for tonight. Same petitioner, same address, but it's BZA-1025-48C1. Again, this is another development standards variance application that's been filed. Again, at the same address as previously mentioned in Atlanta, seeking relief from the 10.7 commercial sign standards in our Cicero-Jackson Township zoning ordinance. And this one is to exceed the maximum cumulative area allowed for single tenant structures. And so whereas our ordinance states that the maximum cumulative area allowed shall be 200 square feet. That's the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Zell.
Mr. Chairman, this is Mike Berry. I second that.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. We'll have a roll call vote. Steve Zell.
I approve.
Harrison Masani.
Approve.
Mike Berry.
I approve.
I'm Scott Bukowski. I approve.
Mr. Chairman, Steve Zell, I'll make a motion now that we approve the third docket from the Indiana Armory Board, this one being BZA-1025-49-C1, same address as mentioned before. This again is another development standards variance application. Same article as mentioned previously, and this is to allow the maximum height of sign area be located more than 20 feet above ground level, whereas our ordinance states that the maximum height of the sign area shall be 6 feet and may not be located more than 20 feet above ground level. That's the motion.
Second, Harrison Masani.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll have a roll call vote. Harrison Masani,
Approve.
Steve Zell.
Approved.
I'm Scott Bukowski, I approve. Mike Berry.
I approve.
Mr. Chairman, Steve Zell again, here on the fourth docket related to the State of Indiana Armory Board. This time, voting to approve BZA-1025-50-C1. Again, another development standards variance application. Same address, same article in our zoning ordinances. This one is to approve the maximum area of signs for a single tenant structure. Whereas our ordinance states that the maximum area of the signs for a single tenant structure shall be a maximum of 90 square feet based on a measurement of 2 square feet per 1 linear foot of structure or tenant frontage on the front facade. That's the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Zell.
Mr. Chairman, Harrison Masani, I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Masani. We'll have a roll call vote. Mike Berry.
I approve.
I'm Scott Bukowski, I approve. Steve Zell.
I approve.
Harrison Masani.
Approve.
Okay, one more. Okay, for the fifth and last petition before us tonight to approve from, again, the State of Indiana Armory Board. Again, this is docket number BZA-1025-51-C1. It's also a development standards variance application. Same ordinance involved, except this one's 10.1. This is Article 10.1 of our zoning ordinances. It involves approving a maximum area and height mounted of flags, whereas 10.1 in our zoning ordinance states that a flag shall be a maximum 40 square foot area and shall not be mounted more than 35 feet in height. That's the motion before us.
Thank you, Mr. Zell.
Mr. Chairman, this is Mike Berry, I second.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. We'll have a roll call vote. Mike Berry.
I approve.
Harrison Masani.
Approve.
Steve Zell.
I approve.
I'm Scott Bukowski, I approve.
Congratulations.
We'll move right along to new business. The first item that we got for new business, we're going to have another 4 items for the same petitioner. I will read these all in at the same time. We will discuss them together, but then we will vote on them separately. The first one is docket number BZA-1125-53-AG, Valmont Telecommunication / Beck Family. The petitioner's address is 0 US Highway 31 North, Cicero, Indiana 46034. It's a special exception use variance application that's been submitted regarding the property located at the above mentioned address in Atlanta concerning Article 3.1 AG District Standards of the Cicero-Jackson Township Zoning Ordinance to allow a cellular tower for public safety use on the property. Whereas Article 3.1 of the Cicero-Jackson Township Zoning Ordinance lists communication / utility as a special exceptions use in the AG district. The next item is docket number BZA-1125-54-AG, the same petitioner at the same address. This one is a development standards variance application that's been submitted regarding the property located at the same address, seeking relief from Article 7.20 telecommunication facility standards is TF-03 of the Cicero-Jackson Township Zoning Ordinance to allow cellular tower for public safety use to have less than 100% of the height of the tower equal to the setback of the property line. Whereas Article 7.20 telecommunication facility standards TF-03 of the Cicero-Jackson Township Zoning Ordinance states that the tower shall be set back from any property line a distance equal to at least 100% of the height of the tower. The next one is docket number BZA-1125-55-AG, the same petitioner at the same address. the development standards variance application has been submitted regarding the property seeking relief from Article 7.20 Telecommunication Facility Standards TF-03 of the Cicero Jackson Township zoning ordinance to allow a cellular tower for public safety use to be 250 feet tall, whereas Article 7.20 Telecommunication Facility Standards TF-03 of the Cicero Jackson Township zoning ordinance states that the maximum height of a tower shall be 125 feet. And the last item is docket number BZA-1125-56-AG with the same petitioner at the same address. It's a development standards variance application that's been submitted regarding the property located at 0 US Highway 31 North in Atlanta 46031, seeking relief from Article 7.20 Telecommunication Facility Standards TF-03 of the Cicero Jackson Township zoning ordinance to allow cellular tower for public safety use to not be a monopole design, whereas Article 7.20 Telecommunication Facility Standards TF-03 of the Cicero Jackson Township zoning ordinance states that the tower shall be a monopole design. Is the petitioner present this evening?
Yes, sir.
Hi there. If you don't mind, step up to the podium and state your name and address for the record and let us know about what you've got planned.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Andrew Upchurch. I am with the County Attorney's Office for Hamilton County. Our address is 1 Hamilton County Square, Noblesville, Indiana, 46303, I believe. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to speak with you tonight about our application. Basically, as was just noted, the project here, we're hoping to obtain these the special exception use variance as well as the 4 development standard variances to build a 200-foot telecommunications tower. And the purpose of the tower is going to be to serve public safety communications needs. Here today, I have Ryan Hareen is our special projects manager for 911 communications or public safety communications at Hamilton County, and also Jason Morehouse with the Bex Family LP is here as well to discuss this project with you. So really, the purpose of this project, obviously public safety is something that's very important to Hamilton County. We want to make sure we're providing the best public safety services to the people here of Cicero and Jackson Township. And given the growth of Hamilton County in recent years and the anticipated growth here in the future, we believe it's very important to have this tower. It's going to ensure that we can have the types of communication that we need with public safety entities. Will be used for, my understanding is only for public safety purposes. So this is a significant investment that Hamilton County is making into the community. I believe we estimated it might be a $2 million project. And you know, this is just something that Hamilton County is doing to make sure we're serving the community. So I understand the size of the tower is above what is typically allowed under the ordinance. The reasoning for the size of the tower, and I believe Mr. Harine can speak to this as well if you have questions, but what we're trying to do is prevent a situation where we have to build more towers. Obviously, a larger tower is going to allow us to have better communications and serve the community better. Also, the setback requirement, we have specifically designed the tower so that if there is a failure, it's going to fold in upon itself and essentially have a 0 fall radius. Our engineer has provided a letter concerning that particular part of the project. And also with the monopole design, this is going to be a self-supporting structure, and part of that is so that we can ensure the 0 fall radius and make sure we're protecting the community in that way. So I don't know if there's any questions. As I said, Mr. Ryan is kind of the subject matter expert here, but if I'm able to help, I'll also do that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one that a tower 250 feet high, what kind of radius is this going to have as far as communications? You know, what,
Sure.
how far out are you going to be able to communicate?
Sure. There's a certain amount of voodoo magic in that question. You don't exactly know until you get the tower up. So we go out and we take baseline measurements today, which we've done. We have equipment, we drive around, and we're able to measure the signal strength. Once the tower is constructed, you go back out and do that same study again, and it says, okay, you were here, and now you're here, okay? Currently, about 10 years, 11 years ago, was the last time that we made significant improvements to the radio system. And essentially, we used the 216th Street kind of as the cutoff. So south of 216th Street, the construction style was a little different than it is north of 216th Street. So for us, we're trying to penetrate a radio signal inside of a building. So if a firefighter or a police officer goes into a building, we're trying to get that radio signal into a building. Well, the construction style north of that 216th mark is a little different than it is south of. You have more farm homes, small 1, 2, 3 bedrooms, wood barn structures, maybe with a shingle or a metal roof. Those are now being replaced with your multi-story residential homes, full basements, large concrete, rebar, metal commercial structures. It's more difficult for us to get a signal into those structures. And so that's how we gauge where we think we're going to put a tower. So 11 years ago, we would have told you, we would have thought this tower would have been on the eastern side of the county, maybe in Wayne Township or White River Township. But the growth on that side of the county is not as fast as the growth on the west side. Okay, so as the Armory, for instance, at 276th Street, would be very difficult for us to get a radio signal deep inside that building. And that's what we're trying to do. So as that construction style changes, we have to have a tower over there in that general area to be able to accomplish that. The height of the tower is, they vary. So we have a fleet of radio towers that span actually 2 different counties. Our radio system requires a number of towers. Some of those are owned, we lease some of those towers, or we co-locate, meaning it's a radio tower that's owned by another entity like the state of Indiana, and we put our equipment on it, they put their equipment on it. And those heights are different based on the topography of the county. And so we have to talk from one radio tower to another radio tower. We shoot a signal. And so based on the topography of the county, kind of sets where that height is going to be. If something is built in the middle of it, it obstructs our path. So we got to be kind of above that in order to shoot our signal. And so that's where that number, that's where that height comes in. Again, it's a little voodoo magic because you don't exactly know 100% until it's constructed and you start aligning the dishes of where exactly they're going to be at the tower. They might be at 295, they might be at 293. There's just small little variances in that. The location, how we picked the location, we really wanted to be on the west side of US 31, and the challenge we had there is the Sheridan Airport. So the Sheridan Airport, obviously the takeoff and the landing pattern prevents us from constructing a radio tower near that flight pattern. And so when you kind of put a circle around the airport, it tells you you can't build this type of a structure within this circle. Well, when you look at the parcels, it wasn't as advantageous to us to construct outside that circle. And so we had to kind of now go on the eastern side of US 31 and said, okay, this is a good location. Now where do we need to be so that we're able to blast that signal in corners and in little areas. And so that's kind of a nutshell of how you get the height, how you get the location and the style of tower. I think Mr. Upchurch covered it nicely, that we don't intend for this to be a commingled site. It is a public safety radio tower. It is directly benefits police officers, firefighters, EMTs. We don't have any private ventures on any of the radio towers that we own. Some of our radio towers that we lease, there is cellular signals, but that's not something that we're interested in.
Ryan, I have a question.
Sure thing.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
The towers that towers that you're currently relying on are on the sheriff's campus? Are those the towers that are facilitating, the communication that's going on now? Granted, it's not as strong as,
Yeah.
where does the signal
Sure.
right now reside? What are you doing right now, I guess?
Okay,
is what I'm saying.
for that particular area,
Yeah,
it is probably served mostly by the Waltz Tower, 281st and State Road 19, just east
Okay.
of, on the
Okay.
Leroy Waltz farm property.
Yes. Okay.
There is a structure there.
Okay.
We lease that structure. And then we have another tower in Hortonville,
Okay.
that is
Yeah.
just on the north side
Yeah.
of Westfield. That is owned by the state of Indiana, and we co-locate there. So those two towers are the primary service area for that area. The tower that you're speaking of in the east side of Noblesville,
Yeah.
it is our largest tower, coming in at over 600 feet.
Yes.
And some of the signal would bleed over into that area. It would kind of push in the southeastern corner of Jackson Township. But the Leroy Waltz Tower and the Hortonville Tower would be the primary two towers in that area. In the years past, we had a structure on 236th Street, just east of the old Sheridan city limits. We abandoned that structure about 11 years ago because it didn't prove to be as beneficial as the Hortonville Tower. It actually ended up being a little better for us. So,
Very good. Thank you for that.
sure thing.
I'm on one of the boards out at the sheriff's office, so I know, to your point earlier, Ryan, that, for example, communication, I'm talking about just the sheriff's office, can't speak for any of the other agencies, but, does not work inside that building.
Sure.
They have to step outside the building in order to utilize any communications back to dispatch.
Sure.
So that's a real, and what you're saying is that with the addition of this tower and its location that you're going to be placing this, if approved here, would remedy that situation. The signal would be strong enough for someone to, for example, that's in the armory, just
Sure.
using me as one example, to communicate effectively back to dispatch without having to go outside or back to their vehicle or whatever.
Yeah, this tower, if approved, would definitely change the level of coverage in the
Yeah.
Jackson Township
Okay.
US 31 corridor.
Okay.
It would, again, we used to use the 216th Street as the
Right.
mark, and the level of coverage north and south of there
Gotcha.
was markedly different. Most of our towers were located to the south. Adding this tower now makes kind of an L. We're a perfectly
Yeah.
square county. It will kind of make an L.
Okay.
And it will change that level of coverage, again, with the hopes of being able to penetrate a radio signal. So
Okay.
we definitely know that there's some areas in the northwest portion of the county that have poor coverage inside of a building. And early studies would suggest that some of those areas would be better served after this tower is constructed. But it's difficult until it's constructed
Exactly.
to concretely sit here before you and say, yeah, 100% it worked.
So if this is approved tonight, when would you start the actual building of the tower and all the components
Yes, sir.
necessary to make that work? Ideally, what would you like to?
Yes, sir. It would take approximately 1 year. If approved, obviously our next step is we'll go to the Area Planning Commission to have their review. But we would be able to proceed with our contractor and give them a notice to proceed. It takes about a year to get the generator. There's an on-site emergency backup generator. Those have about a 9 to 11 month wait time currently. And then that style of radio tower as well is about a 9 month for those to be produced. This tower would be our first zero fall or self-collapsing, whatever word you want to put on it. There's a lot of buzzwords around it, but essentially just know that the radio tower is like a stick and there's no wires coming off of it. And if it was to be compromised structurally, it's designed to essentially fold on top of itself or kind of whine on itself so that it doesn't actually come over. This would be the first zero fall self-collapsing tower in our enterprise. Everything else is a different style tower. But about 1 year approximately.
Sure, okay, thank you.
Sure thing.
I have a question.
Sure thing.
On the monopole, from my knowledge, why would you go with something like this in a as opposed to like a monopole? Is the height, or what leads you to this design?
The self-collapsing.
Is that the difference? The monopole is not self-collapsing. Is that why?
Yeah, the monopole.
Okay.
This is there's a lot of words that similarly mean the same thing, but this is essentially a stick. Okay, it is a pole, a single pole, and there's no guy wires. So if you think about some radio towers, they'll call it a guided tower, and you put a stick up and then there's wires that come off it, look like a Christmas tree that hold it. This tower is structured to not need the wires, so it allows you to have a smaller footprint on the ground. You don't need as much land because you don't need the guy stations.
So the monopole, Frank, is what we saw at the cellular tower, I believe.
Yes.
That would be considered a monopole, right? So this is more like probably steel angle. It's all constructed together to build a
Correct.
point. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
The
And that's-
footprint looks like this. It, right here.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
We do have some monopoles in our fleet, and they're just a round tower that makes a pole.
Right.
This is essentially 3 small legs that make a triangle
Yeah.
that's constructed.
I just want to understand the advantage to doing this one as opposed to a monopole, since it is a variance for that. I just wanted to understand it, and if it's something we need to look
Yeah.
at in our ordinances for some reason, that's why I was curious. So
For us, it's because of needing to be able to talk back to the other radio towers. It sets the height. We're like Verizon or Sprint or whoever was constructing one in that general area. They may be able to come in at a lower height
200,
because
I
they're
think.
not trying to talk to another tower. They're trying to saturate that specific area.
okay.
We're trying to saturate the area and talk to adjoining towers within our enterprise.
Okay. Another question for Ryan here. Ryan, since I'm not an antenna expert here, is the antenna capable of being added onto in terms of additional height? If during your assembly and testing of this new antenna, and you find that the signal strength is not what you were anticipating, and maybe would require more height, I don't know, in order to get to the parameters that you're looking to achieve.
Sure.
Is that antenna capable of being modified and added onto in terms of height?
It is. Within your packet, it suggests where the antennas are going to be.
Okay.
And so again, there's small variations. It may need to be 6 inches below or 3 inches above.
Yeah,
And
okay.
then also the side of the tower
Yeah.
makes a difference as well onto where you actually hang the antenna. So
Okay.
you may look at it and say, okay, it needs to be on the southeast
Okay.
post or the southeast corner of the tower, but in actuality, it needs to be on the northwest. And so
Okay.
there's small little variations
Okay.
that happen
Okay.
as they're constructing.
Understood. Thank you.
Any other board member questions for the petitioner? No. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
At this point, I think I can entertain a motion to open to the public for these items.
So moved, Harrison Masani.
Mr. Chairman, Steve Zell, I'll second that motion.
Thank you, gentlemen. All in favor of opening to the public, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. These items are open to the public, these four. If anyone would like to speak to these items, please step up to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
I'm Brad Rainerson with 2248 East 276th Street. So just south of this facility or where they're planning on this. A couple questions I have is who's funding the project?
If you could,
Yeah,
sir,
we
just
have to address us. Address
direct
us.
your questions to us, and then we'll ask that of them once we have all your questions. So,
Okay, who's funding the project?
who's funding it? Yes, sir.
Okay, and then the generator, how is that going to be fueled? Whether it's going to be natural gas or diesel, there is no gas in that area. When we're talking about the height of the tower, we're talking about more of a transmission outlay. We're talking, we're saying that we're going to be able to penetrate underground. Is that, I don't believe that has anything to do with the height of the tower. That'd be transmission single, the boost of the tower, the power of the tower. I'm curious why the newly installed water towers around the area couldn't be used to utilize this. They're Hamilton County owned as well, because it would be more of a repeating process at that point. I'm curious why it has to be, the 250 foot in the line of sight. It'd be cheaper to use the tower that's directly across the street from it on 31 if they're already leasing towers and things like that. It's also close to the Tipton County line. Are we trying to coordinate some kind of communication with them? Are they involved with the project? Are they helping fund the project? That's about all I have.
Great question, sir. Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
Again, my name is Blair Fry, 27810 North Anthony Road. Apparently everything's happening in my backyard tonight. BZA, how tall, this gentleman just asked, how tall are the water towers that are right there? 140 feet? Okay, thank you. I'm curious as to know what the annual cost of upkeep of this tall 25-floor tower will be versus the leasing costs of what's already being used. There's already a cell tower, I believe it's about 281st and West 31. Already one there as well, so I had a similar thought. Why not just use a water tower or piggyback onto the cell tower? It's already there. Thank you for the map, because I didn't know where this was going to go, although I've seen some movement back there. I think that's all I have at this time. But
Thank
I
you,
may
sir.
come back up pending the answers.
Anyone else from the public?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to,
Sorry, can you just put a little dot on that map where you're looking, where this is supposed to be? Is that where the arrow is?
That's where the arrow is, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion that we now close our meeting to the public on this particular, these four particular dockets.
Thank-
Point of order. I actually said I would have any further responses of.
Sir, yeah, we open to the public the one single time.
So I don't get one answer, I don't get a chance to come back up? Is that
No.
what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you,
made a
Mr.
motion, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Zell. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman, it's Mike Berry. I second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. All in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the public portion of the meeting is closed. Did have a few follow-up questions that were proposed that the petitioner could come back up. The first one that I noted was the funding of the tower. And who was funding that?
You want me to take it? Okay, the funding of the tower is Hamilton County, so it's, you know, it comes out of our normal operating budget, and our capital budget for projects, so, you know, it's just normal, funding that we have available.
And then the next question that I noted was the fuel for the generator. How does that work?
Yes, sir. It's a diesel generator. So the compound that you're looking at, the blue square, again, this is located on 281st on the north side of the road. It's just west of the ditch, and it's south of the ditch, which is what you're seeing above it. It kind of makes an L, if you will. So we looked at the radio tower in the organization of the structures underneath it. When you build a radio tower, there's typically a little building that all the components are in, the technology, and then you have a generator, an emergency generator. So in the event that utility power is lost, the generator kicks on and supplies the power to a tower. It can normally run for 1 to 3 days off of the fuel that is contained within the generator. So if you look at this this outlay here, Frank, can you put your cursor over the small little rectangle right there? That is the generator. So we constructed the layout of the property so that generator was on the south side of it, so that our fuel trucks, you know, a couple times a year we need to fuel it, we'll be able to pull in off of 281st Street, run their hose over through the gate and fill it up. It's just a standard diesel tank that's mounted underneath the generator. There's nothing real extravagant about it. We do have natural gas in our enterprise at other locations, but we also have diesel. So.
All right. Next question. Use of the water towers, is that something that's an option for you instead of building this tower?
Sure thing. We did look at the water towers, but again, the height of the water tower at the 140-foot mark, I believe is what he suggested, wasn't tall enough for us. We need to be taller than the water tower. So we actually looked at even co-locating the tower, adjoining the tower to the property where the water tower is. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, the water tower would be here, and then let's say that we would construct a radio tower right next to it. And again, that particular location wasn't as helpful as the 281st Street. You have to look at the coverage map and know exactly where you're going to place it till you get the most bang for your buck. And down at the 276th Street where the water towers are, or even further south, they did not offer us that level of coverage. We do not have any radio towers co-located on water towers in our fleet. You could go to other jurisdictions in other counties, and they do. That particular height works in their system. It doesn't work here. The height is not what we're looking for. Does that answer your question?
Yep, I got a couple more.
I got you.
Few more. Is there anything jointly going on with Tipton?
Okay, no.
For this tower?
This particular tower does not offer additional coverage for Tipton. They operate off of the state radio system. That radio system is what they call the Hoosier Safety, or IPSC, are the acronyms they use. It's the Integrated Public Safety Communications Group. They maintain a system of radio towers all over the state of Indiana. And people like the state police and NDOT, Department of Corrections, operate on the state radio system. And then other jurisdictions like Tipton or Boone County or other can also opt in and join and use those same radio towers. Here in this county, we do not use the IPSC radio system. We have our own radio system. And we actually own and operate the radio system in coordination with Madison County and Marion County. So we have a trifecta. Our system, Madison County and the city of Indianapolis, it's one radio system. that spans 3 counties. And so this particular tower and our particular radio system doesn't do anything for Tipton County. They only have 1 radio tower in Tipton County. And so again, the level of coverage that they're desiring in their jurisdiction is different than the level of coverage that we're desiring for our public safety folks here in this county. The expectation is different here than it is there.
Higher, correct?
Thank you.
Correct. It's a higher standard.
Mhm. And then I think my final question is the cost of upkeep. Do you have something in mind for that, or what it would take to keep
Sure.
this going?
Yeah. So that is just again a normal a budgetary cost that is factored into our service agreements with the Motorola Corporation. So I don't have an exact dollar that it, on an annual basis, this is what it would cost. That's just something that we negotiate into our contract for all of our sites. It's not it's just not a number that I have prepared for today, but it's not something that's not captured within our budget. It's a normal expense for us, just like mowing the grass or putting salt down. It's just a normal expense. So.
I have one other question, Mr. Chairman. Go
Yes,
ahead.
sir. I just wanted to point out a few legal things. I mean, obviously what's in front of us is whether or not it meets the requirements to be located there.
Right.
Not whether or not how it's funded. We're required to approve the site that's permitted. And I would note that under Indiana Code 8-1-32.3-17, we don't get to second guess the height or the proximity between cell towers. Now, whether you like it or not, that's Indiana law.
That's right.
And so if somebody comes in, they have to first go through the FCC to have the tower located. And because part of that involves the federal government making a decision, and part of it involves the network deciding where they need this piece of equipment, they have taken away our local ability to second guess those type of things. And so our review is focused on, does it meet the requirements for special exception? There's also in the same Indiana code, we can impose a fall requirement greater than the fall radius that's certified. The only way we could do that is if we had an engineer who said that their calculation was wrong. But if they have something that says that the zero fall, if it were to collapse, it certifies that, and that makes certain that it's away from the buildings or the road, we have to accept that, absent another engineer. And again, that is not a CISRO rule, that's out of the Indiana law.
Understood.
And so I want to point that out, because that's what we've got to focus our decisions on. It falls under that ordinance, and it falls under that. It states wireless communications, and this is a wireless communications tower.
Thank you, Mr. Culp.
Mr. Chairman, maybe this be a question for Frank. Is this a matter going before if approved tonight, going before the planning commission?
It is
As
in
well.
the overlay district, so yes.
That's why it's in the US 31 overlay district, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm just curious as to next steps, in terms of do this part and then
Yeah, we're prepared to go to that
Yeah.
meeting
John.
specifically to address the overlay district. We're aware, and we intend to fully comply with that district in that overlay area. So
Yes.
we're aware of those design standards, and we've already prepared our packet to meet or exceed those standards.
I've got a question for you
Sure thing.
on the funding. Seeing if Aaron's gonna look at me. If this is approved, can anyone go, is this just approved for funding, or is there somewhere someone can go to hear this formal approval from a funding side as well?
I believe it's already been.
It's already in our budget. It's a
Thank you.
normal operating expense.
Thank you.
Well, it sounds, gentlemen, like you've done your homework, and public service is something near and dear to my heart, and I commend you guys for looking ahead and seeing, even though we got a great system now, from what I understand, it is, it's got some inadequacies that need to be addressed to make it even better, so. And it sounds like you're addressing that, so, again, just speaking for myself.
Thank you, Mr. Zell.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Board member discussions, thank you for your input there, Mr. Zell.
No problem. No other comments.
I don't have any comments, but this is the second one we've heard this year, so I just put a note down that maybe it's something we look at as well with maybe Aaron on specifics. So, especially if they're going before us and the Plan Commission.
I agree with that, and I appreciate Mr. Culp's input too, because it makes it seem like,
Let's focus.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a focal point. Yeah.
Mr. Berry, anything?
Nothing.
Okay. All right, I can, like I said, we discussed these together, but we need to vote on them separately, so.
Mr. Chairman, Harrison Masani, moving to approve docket number BZA-1125-54-AG.
We can start with 53-AG, sir.
5-3, correction there, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Steve Zell, I'll second that motion.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll have a roll call vote. I'm Scott Bukowski. I approve. Mike Berry.
I approve.
Harrison Masani.
Approve.
Steve Zell.
Approved.
Mr. Chairman, Harrison Masani again, moving to approve docket number BZA-1125-54-AG.
Chairman Steve Zell, I'll second that motion as well.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'll have a roll call vote. Steve Zell.
I approve.
Harrison Masani.
Approve.
Mike Berry.
I approve.
I'm Scott Bukowski. I approve.
Mr. Chairman, Harrison Masani again, moving to approve docket number BZA-1125-55-AG.
Mr. Chairman, Steve Zell, I'll second that motion.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'll have a roll call vote. Mike Berry.
I approve.
Harrison Masani.
Approve.
Steve Zell.
I approve.
And I'm Scott Bukowski. I approve.
Mr. Chairman, Harrison Masani moving to approve docket number BZA-1125-56-AG.
Mr. Chairman, Steve Zell, once again, I will second that motion.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll have a roll call vote. Harrison Masani.
Approve.
Steve Zell.
Approved.
I'm Scott Bukowski. I approve. Mike Berry.
I approve.
All right. Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to the final two items on the docket.
I just had a question, Mr. Chairman, for Frank. In terms of findings of fact, do you gentlemen have the findings of fact documentation to fill out for these next two?
For the next two?
The next two, I don't have those.
We're not gonna need it.
Do we need a motion
we're
to
not
table?
doing it?
Do we need a motion to table on these?
Well, I was going to let,
We're talking about the next two. Okay, yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know about that, okay.
Yeah, the remaining three, we found out just as the meeting started, and noticed that they did not get the certified letters down within 10 days.
Those are the two people that left. Okay, sorry, I'm still connecting the dots here, okay. Thank you. Okay,
okay, so I'll entertain then a motion to table these two items and read them in.
Yeah.
To be tabled, and then with the time, it would be 7 p.m. on December 18th, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Here at the town hall.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Harrison Masani here, moving to table the next two dockets individually.
We can table them both together.
Tabling.
Yeah, but we just want to read the numbers. In.
Okay.
docket numbers, yeah.
Table docket numbers BZA-1125-57-DC as well as docket number BZA-1125-58-DC to the December 18th meeting at 7 p.m. here at the Town Hall.
Mr. Chairman, that's Mike Berry. I second that.
Thank you, gentlemen. All in favor of tabling these two items, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Those two items are tabled until our next meeting. We'll move on to the plan director's report.
Good evening, BZA. I have here in this packet, once I get scrolled down to it, this month's version of the director's report. This is for the month of October 2025. Permit revenue for the month of October 2025 was $7,647. Brings us up to a year-to-date of $48,872. At the same time last year, October of 2024, we were at $6,976 for the month and $53,370 for the year. That's a difference for the month of October, a plus $671, and a minus for the year, $4,497. We issued a total of 27 building permits for October of 25. 16 were for within the corporate limits. There were no new homes there. We issued another 11 out in Jackson Township. No new homes out there either. Estimated cost of these projects permitted was $1,102,956. Let's see. We do have disregard. That's my report.
Yep, good report there.
Thank you, sir. Move on to the chairperson's report here. Just reviewing the packet, I wanted to discuss with the board the inside our packets. I had asked before that the petitioners fill out the findings of fact from their perspective, and also wanted to point out that I hold a lot of value in the staff findings. I think those are important to me when I'm considering these, and I wanted to know the board's thoughts on those two pieces, if they find those to be valuable as well. When they're, working through their packets before the meeting to understand what we're getting into.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with you, and Frank and I had a little email already exchanged. He's got a pretty rough week, stuff being gone and everything, but yeah, those documents, findings of facts filled out by the petitioner, I find that to be very helpful. Also, as we've said earlier on, that those by the petitioner filling those out helps educate them on what the board is looking at, and what they need to be prepared for, and also are they meeting the requirements. So it's not only helps I think the petitioner, but it also helps we on the board here, and obviously the staff reports that Frank does are very valuable to me anyway in my preparation for the meeting. So those are valuable documents. So, and they've been well done, in the past year. So
I agree. All comments made, yeah, very helpful.
yeah. Well, in other words, I guess what I'm saying is I don't see a need to make a change there.
Okay.
That should continue.
All right.
From my perspective, and I realize it's extra work and everything, but those are, it helps us be a fully prepared board, for what's coming before us. And those bits of information are very helpful to me personally.
For
I
me,
don't know all the help I can get.
it's the points to consider that
Yeah,
are called out in the staff findings that sometimes cue me into other questions that I have that come up along those lines. So I just wanted to state for the record that I really appreciate those.
Yes, thank you.
And that's all for my report tonight. Legal counsel report?
Nothing at this time.
All right. Board member comments?
I just had one question for our council here. You know, I've got to have at least one question every meeting. And there may not be an answer to this. Where, on the west side of Cicero, where, and this has nothing to do with tonight's business, with Citizen Zell here. Where the flower shop used to be on the west side of Cicero, Rasmussen's property, we were at one time looking at that as a source of our water supply needs. And I see that there's excavation work being done back there. There's even a kind of a gate thing there. You can't really drive back in there. I wouldn't do that anyway. I was just wondering, is that something that involves our town? We're still working on behalf of our town to try to find water there, or?
I can answer that.
Maybe,
It's nothing to do with finding the water. So that has
Okay.
been the site that when Citizens dredges the lake, that's been
Okay.
the site for a long time where they stock that material.
Okay.
So what they've started to
Okay,
do
didn't know
now
that.
is remove the material. They've sold that to somebody else. There was some
Okay.
testing, and that's what's going on.
Okay, thank you. Minor thing, I was just, water's near and dear to my heart as our attorney will testify to, but, I didn't know if that was ongoing for the town of Cicero, but, okay, thank you, Frank, for that clarification.
You're welcome.
I've got a question for Frank. I learned something tonight. I didn't realize there was this flag size.
There was
And
one,
a flag size.
oh, yeah,
I have one that's larger than's permitted. If I want to fly that on special occasions, do I need a?
I think the
Variance.
residential standards are different
Yeah.
than commercial standards.
Oh, okay.
The patriot in me felt
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
some emotion, but
Yeah.
it was in the blue field, so I put it in there.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Good.
Mr. Masani, board member comment?
When someone flies a flag larger than ordinance, do I just complain to you?
All right, our next planned Board of Zoning Appeals meeting is going to be December 18th, as we discussed before, of 2025. And with that, I can entertain a motion to adjourn.
Chairman Steve Zell, make a motion, we now adjourn from our monthly meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Zell. Thank you, Mr. Masani. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned.